You just tuned it in. Global and worldwide. Hitting you on the one with no delay. Because it's the fighter's voice. The fighter's voice. With your fighting host, Richard Ortiz. And the formidable co-host, Mr. Cole Escobedo. Remember, every fighter has a voice.
The fighter's voice. That matters. The Fighter's Voice Knockout Podcast. We're live here with Top Rank's own top contender. That's Andy Altibaron Vences. He's our guest tonight, and also in studio, or outside of studio, I should say, Mike Rutha, the co-host with the most. What's happening, Mike?
Not much. Just here enjoying another day.
And Mike, get your questions ready, man. Get your stories ready, man, because Andy Vences has been ready to tell all. The man's been continuing to work out. The man's been continuing to work 9 to 5 daily. He's blue collar. He's making it happen, and he's waiting for this virus to get knocked out and waiting for his opportunity just to knock his next opponent out. Hey, welcome to the show, Andy. How we doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Just, keeping busy as always and being as productive as possible.
Hey, Andy, something I've been wanting to ask you about. It really has nothing to do with boxing, but in a sense it does. Hey, tell us about your sponsor or that supplement that you got going, because you've been true to it. You've been taking it. It's been keeping you shredded. It's been keeping your weight down. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's the nutritional line I take, which, that's out here in the Bay Area with Victor Conti with Snack Nutrition. And it's a supplement line that sponsors me. They've been with me since day one, since the beginning, from nothing to something. So I'm really true to them, really loyal to them. But it's a supplement line to help your athletic performance, pretty much get you to that next level, along with eating right. You can't just take the stuff and expect to look right. You got to eat right. You got to do everything the right way. But we're actually pushing something really big right now during this virus, this pandemic, all this stuff that's going down. What's going on that Victor Conti, the CEO from Snack, found out was a lot of these COVID-19 patients are getting worse conditions, and the doctors are noticing a lack of deficiency in zinc. And that's one of the products that I push that they have, which is ZMA5. It's concentrated in magnesium, zinc, and I believe B6 and B12. So it's a product everybody should be taking. I've always pushed this on people that work out and don't work out. You don't have to work out. My wife actually takes it. She doesn't work out. She takes it every night. I have other friends that take it every night. And it's just something you need. Zinc, a lot of people lack zinc because you can't find zinc in a lot of foods. I believe you can find it in oysters or certain foods that we don't need every day. So it's a supplement so you reach those type of vitamins every day. And during this time, it's when you should build on health, eating better, and vitamins, because you want to build a strong immune system for yourself.
You know what? We're trying to get every edge possible that we can get that'll help us with that nasty virus, and anything and everything that'll give us that edge, especially, someone that's always constantly in shape, eating right, and doing the things that they need to do, both inside and outside of the ring. Actually, you should just be that spokesperson, Andy. I mean, you've been taking it since day one, and you've been blessed inside and outside of the ring, and now's the time to introduce it to not only in the Bay Area, but to the world.
Right. And I feel a lot of it is not only just the supplement itself. A lot of people take for granted their health, eating right. It's like they're starting to notice that all these things are going to matter in a time like this where, people are catching this virus and their immune system is weak and blah, 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 all this stuff. It's kind of like the time, we've always taken it for granted to work out, to stay healthy, to eat right, but it's like now I think people are paying more attention to that, knowing that they need those to be beneficial to them,
No, I agree exactly. You know what? We'll talk more about it in depth into the show because, hey, man, we need to bring that stuff to the Fresno area. I don't know if he has anybody repping in the Fresno area, but we definitely, especially if you got anything and everything that everybody struggles with, and that's lack of energy, fighting their weight. Obesity is taking over the world as well. And it just comes down to discipline and eating habits, as you know.
Right. Well, there's a reason why many world champions take this product, you know?
No, I noticed a lot of them have endorsers, such as yourself. Mikey Garcia endorses that proudly, and a lot of other fighters, they swear by it. They live by it. And, you know, to watch you a part of that family and a part of that growth, it's something I've been wanting to ask you, you know, because I've watched you repping the shirts, the gear, and not only that, but also the products. You know, you've even had footage of you taking the products before and after workouts.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do everything, you know, to push the product. You know, they help me so much during my training camps, my track training, providing me with the supplements to keep myself nutrition balanced. They just offer it all, you know. They offer my recovery there at Snacks, so why not push something for people that are helping me? And I highly believe in giving back to them as well. So that's why I go out of my way to do these videos and whatnot, because it not only do they help me, is I strongly emphasize in that product. I live on that product, so I know what it's done for me. And I've actually introduced it to some of my coworkers who are not even boxers, who go to the gym, and they came back to me 2 weeks, a week later, thanking me for introducing them to something that really changed their life. They've like noticed a difference. They mentally feel better. They physically feel better. They're able to push more in the gym, and they've personally thanked me, like, and they're passing it on to other friends. So it's just, you know.
No, that's always good, because you always try to help people out when it comes to living healthy. Mike, I know you're always on the go. Mike, you know, thanks for joining us, Mike. I know you had to go in and out real quick. I know you're always on the go with work and coaching, and you always need that extra energy, man. When you hear about that product and how it's working for athletes like Andy, and, you know, I plan on looking into it more in depth. What's your whole take on that, Mike?
Definitely something to look into, especially now that, you know, can't really be out as much.
Yeah.
Like I got my little gym set up here at home. That'd be something definitely that could help out while I'm here at the house a lot. And especially, as you said, if I'm not at work or if I'm not at a fight, I'm usually coaching the kids for football or traveling up the mountains for football, something. So that's something that'll keep me energized while I'm, you know, driving long days and nights.
No, that's good. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. You said your home gym. Andy, I want to ask you, I've been watching some of your videos, and I've been watching, you've been taking anything and everything and using it to your advantage as possible, is to continue to work out. Not being able to go to a gym, Andy, how have you been able to maneuver whatever tools you have and you turn them into either a cardio workout or speeding the jig or just hitting the punching bag, man?
Oh, well, you know what? Let me throw a quick question out there. Mike, are you currently still working out at your gym? Are you training the kids? Are you helping them? Just wondering, just random question.
Not the kids right now, because with this, I mean, the kids can't even be really near each other at the moment. So we'll, if everything goes well, we'll be back together probably in July. But in my little gym that I have here at my house, it's in my garage. Yeah, I'm still doing stuff in there every day.
That's good. No, I'll answer your question, Rich. I was just curious because, I mean, to a certain point, I feel like, you know, we got to be, in a way, we got to be cautious, prepared, and aware. But at the same time, we can't be scared to go work out, like to go jog, to go to the park and, like, do your sprints or do your running up the hill. Like I feel like too many people right now are a little too scared to even go outside, when it's like, as long as you know the things you got to do to take care of yourself, that's fine. Like, I feel you should be fine. I've been reading up a lot on a lot of stuff, both on the news and articles that have came out. And a lot of the people, not a lot of the people, but the majority of the people that are dying are either very young, very old, or the ones that are like ill. So I just feel, though, as long as you're cautious and aware, like for instance, I go every Saturday. I go with my dad, go to the park, and we go run. I know who my dad's around, which is his immediate family in the household, and I'm around my immediate family in the household. So it's not like he's around too many other people or I'm around too many other people. Like, there's only been a couple friends I've gone to work out at the park with, but I haven't really gone out of the house to work out with too many people, but I feel like this is the time to work out, to go to the park, do your runs at home, push-ups, whatever kind of gym you got set up. I don't feel this should hold you back in any way. I hung a bag in my apartment. So I got that going. I'm about to hang a crazy bag this Sunday. So I'll have a heavy bag, a crazy bag, and along with my runnings that I'm doing about 3-4 times a week, I should be fine, just to maintain. But I feel like this is the time where you're going to see which boxers prevail and which ones fail. The ones that are disciplined are going to succeed and go ahead like nothing happened. And the ones that don't know how to use nature environments to make a routine for themselves are the ones that are going to be backed up and slowed down. Because, when I was an amateur, we started with nothing. You start with nothing. You had your bag in the garage. You got to go running in the hills. So this is really going to show who's disciplined and who's going to be able to and willing to do what's necessary to prevail. That's how I feel.
I want to refer back to, just finding anything to do. I was watching it, and I talked to you over the phone about that video. I love that video where you're doing pull-ups on that tree, man. I mean, that's just, that right there says a lot. Like, nothing's going to stop you. It says a whole lot in just what you're doing. Nothing's going to stop you. You're willing to adapt to anything. And as long as I've known you, Andy, you've been one of the most mentally strongest person that I've ever met and come in contact with, man. And you're able to take a knockout artist and just utilize your tools and make him adjust to your style. Because, and I'm referring back to that draw that should have been awarded in your favor. A lot of people were concerned about his punching power, but your game plan was superb. Exactly. And you stood your ground when you needed to stay ground. You stand your ground. I'm going to compare it to a masterpiece out there. A lot of people may not agree, but I've always compared your fight that you had, and I would compare it to Marvin Hagler's Sugar Ray Leonard. When Sugar Ray Leonard just neutralized Marvin Hagler's punching power and had him fighting the fight and outboxed him just as you did. But, it was a draw, but you should have had the victory. You should have walked out with the victory. I was there live at that fight, covering it. It was a good fight. I know it was slippery, but you stood your ground and you fought a masterpiece. And that stands out in my mind, how you're able to use your strengths and neutralize a puncher.
All right. Now, thanks, Rich. Now, a lot of media and a lot of people had me winning, but it's kind of something that's in the past now. So it's like I've grown and learned from that. There's a lot of things that coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda did more of just to solidify that win on my side a little more. But it is what it is. Even the fight that I had on the Tyson Fury undercard on June 15th, the loss that I suffered, like I tell people, it was a decision loss. It was like I was chasing someone all night. It's not like I was outclassed. It's not like I was hurt. It's not like I was dropped. So mentally, I'm very realistic with myself as far as where I'm going and where I'm headed. Like, I know there's work to do. I know there's even more room for me to grow. Like, I'm learning every day. Even here at the house, I'm practicing things and doing things just to be better, whether it's eating right or pushing myself. But yeah, it's just it's all about adapting. Like you said, like even with all the gyms closed and you having nature, it's like you got to figure it out. And that's one thing my dad's implemented in me a lot. It's just learning how to adapt with what's available. He said in Mexico they used to hit the heavy bag made of sand. They used to roll up the mattress and put duct tape around it and hang it up, and they used to use that as a heavy bag. So it was never an excuse. When I went to Mexico for a tournament with my dad, they were sparring in the basketball court. So the other day, actually, two of my friends that work with me, we went to the park and we sparred at the park last night. So it's like we made our own boxing ring. We drew it out and we just got down. But like I said, you gotta be cautious, right? We took our Lysol wipes, we took our sanitizer, so we wiped down our equipment before, after, washed our hands, So I've been making it work. A lot of people have criticized me for sparring or working out or going to the park, but I just feel like you can't hold yourself back. You just got to be cautious, aware, and prepared. But in no means should you be scared to work out or hold back. Like, this is a time where you should be able to grow. There's so much time we have right now. Why not utilize it in your benefit, you know? That's just how I feel.
Mike, we both talked plenty of times off camera about Andy, and we both agree that, I mean, he's just that one phone call away, that one opportunity away of getting that title shot. And I'm talking about a world title shot. And until that happens, man, I mean, he continues to stay right in that mix with the rest of the big names. And a lot of people seem to overlook him. But I think a lot of people really don't want to face him because the adversity he's already faced, and knowing they fear when you fight Andy Vences, you're not going to look good. He's going to neutralize all your skills. He's going to have you bait you in, set traps, and fight his style of fight. And that's a strategical fight. I mean, I know when you need to, you'll sit down and bang. But at the most part, this sport is about getting hit and not getting hit. When you hear that, Andy, how do you feel about that assessment?
Oh, no, I appreciate it. I mean, it means a lot. But yeah, I feel, you know, I feel right now in my career, you know, I've spoken to my manager and I've told him, look, I already know what it is now. I have one loss. Like, you know, if they don't feel I'm capable, or if the promoter or whoever's behind, you know, because a lot of it's money, power, politics, and connections. Those are like the four things to anything in life. Money, power, politics, and connections. That's just what runs boxing, and that's what it is. But I've told him, look, I don't mind coming in as a B-side to fight somebody. I just need it speculated in writing that if I win, I fight for a world title. Like, I don't want to hear that, you know, after this fight, I'm going to fight for a world title. Like, I've told my manager, if they stipulate it in writing, I'm willing to fight anybody. I don't care how I come in or what side they have me on. That doesn't scare me. That I'm not scared of that. I don't fear that. I just want to get an opportunity and a chance. If no one believes I could do it, just give me a shot and let me show you, you know? Hey, I failed. Hey, I had a draw once. I failed. I had a step-up fight at Las Vegas. I failed. But like they say, you have to fail to see success. I've already failed, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. You can't turn away just because you didn't make it and it didn't happen. The most successful people are the people that keep going when no one believed in them. And I really am a big believer in my burning desire to do something in boxing. I want to be a world champion. That's my mindset on it, you know?
Mike, you studied the 130, 135-pound division. Mm-hmm. I mean, who does Andy match up with the best if he was to get that phone call?
I honestly feel that he could fight any of the people at that weight class, to be honest. It's the style that he possesses. That's why no one really wants to fight him, is that style. Is he can neutralize your best work. And I've told him before, the angles that he's brought along as he's progressed into every fight has impressed me probably more than anything, is the way he could get in angles and the way he could move his southpaw to right hand. Any of the fighters, honestly, especially at 130, because that weight class seems to be so fluid where everybody's moving around back and forth. So any one at those two weight classes. But if I had someone I would like to see him fight, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Leo Santa Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be badass.
That would be an exciting fight. That would be a fight where I can see Andy having to adapt, but at the same time, Leo Santa Cruz having to adapt with possibly losing surrounds by getting outboxed. Because you definitely don't want to get into a dogfight with that man. And if anybody's going to neutralize those skills, Andy does throw punches and bunches. That'd be a great matchup, man. That'd be exciking for the fans. That's a good pick.
Yeah, he throws punches and bunches, so it's something that, you know, stylistically the fight would, you know, play out to where, you know, you got Andy, the counterpuncher of the boxer, and you got Leo Santa Cruz, the guy who's going to keep coming and keep throwing punches. So, it's a classic matchup. You know, it's kind of like what they thought of De Leon. They thought he was going to hurt me to the body. They thought he was going to knock me out. I had so many messages leading up to that fight and so many people doubting me, saying that I was going to be dropped, that I was going to get knocked down. And it's like, man, I can't even remember the 10 punches if he even landed on me. Like, I didn't let him land anything. So I just I didn't understand where the hype was. Nah, but Leo Santa Cruz is, you know, 2-3-time former world champion. Like he's got a lot of experience. But even at 130, I said it myself. I wouldn't mind to fight someone like Joseph Diaz, Jamel Herring, even Miguel Burchell. People are like, hey, man, like, he'd eat you alive. All right, then, like, well, I don't mind. Like, if you guys feel that way, like, put me in there. Like, his only loss was to a guy that had, like, 12, 13 losses, and he countered him with a check hook and knocked him out in the second, third round. It's on YouTube. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just styles make fights in boxing. Even with me, you know, we could sit here and predict what I'm gonna do, but maybe not. I'm realistic with myself. Like, hey, like, styles make fights, and all it takes is one punch to change any fight, and that goes for anybody. Whether you're a world champion, a rookie, a beginner, all it takes is that one shot, man.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and also that one shot and that one opportunity. The way I see this thing playing out, Andy, is because the way your career has been, with the exception of signing for those big fights, those 2 big fights that you had, is I've seen you take on challengers at the last minute. I've seen you get moved from, you know, the regular undercard to the main event. I think you're going to get that call once we get back and rolling and saying, hey, you want to fight for the title, 3 weeks notice, that type of stuff. And I know that. I just see it happening that way. I do. You know, that may not be the way we plan it out, but I just see you getting that call saying, hey, okay, and you go into your team saying, okay, I got X amount of pounds. I got a drop. I'm ready, and I've been waiting for this opportunity, and I see you taking that opportunity. Once I just see it planning out that way.
Yeah, me too. I feel it planning out. It's funny that all this happened as far as this virus, this pandemic. Like, sometimes this presents opportunities for some people, and sometimes it's the opposite for other people. I know people are going through a lot of stuff right now, but at the same time, this is going to shift the sport. This is going to shift everybody. This is going to cause inactivity for every fighter out there. Every fight that was planned to be made is just backtrack now. They might have to get tune-up fights, so I know I might be a name to circle that they might want to, or think of me as, well, let's put him in with Andy, get him like a tune-up fight. But I'm not trying to be nobody's tune-up fight. I just want to be ready, and I want to be, like you said, Rich, I want to be ready for that call. And if it happens, it happens. I'm going to be willing to go. Like I've told my manager, as long as it's stipulated in writing that if, you know, whatever fight I go into, whether I'm B-side, however the fight looks from the outside, I want to make sure I fight for a world title after that. But it's coming. It's coming. And I know I've been out of the ring since October 26th was my last fight in Reno, Nevada. Yeah. But mentally I'm staying sharp. Mentally I'm staying focused and actually reading books right now too. And just feeding my mind, you know?
No, exactly. Continue to feed yourself mentally. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, man. I mean, this inactivity is not just for Andy Vences. It's for the whole boxing world. And what it does, it kind of levels the playing field, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like, Mike, when you have a football tournament and you're playing the number one team and it's raining and it's slippery, so it takes away your advantage as the powerhouse. It kind of evens it out for everybody. Now, listening to that, I think it's a plus for Andy. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's as you said earlier, it's going to show a lot. It's going to be, you know, the fighters that don't have that discipline, that aren't constantly in the gym. It's going to show up with them more because, you know, they're going to get lazy. They're going to be lethargic. They're going to just be sitting at home, watching TV, watching, you know, doing whatever they want to do, eating, you know, maybe even drinking, something like that. And then, you know, especially once boxing gets the go-ahead to go back, you know, the promoters are going to try to put on as many fights as they can in as many weeks in a row. So they're going to be filling up cards. So some of these guys that possibly top 5 contenders, champions, anything like that, they're going to get those calls to say, hey, we're going to need you in the ring in like 3 weeks or a month. And, you know, they might be like, oh, well, I'm not at that weight. They're going to drain themselves thinking they have an advantage. Like, oh, I'm going to fight, you know, whoever. And, you know, that's going to cost them a lot because the guy that's been wanting that shot, like Andy, who's been constantly keeping himself busy, staying in shape, is going to be not having to drain himself. He's going to be like, oh, I got to make 130. Okay, well, I'm like 3 pounds off, as the guy that's like 145 is going to suck himself up to it. And then, you know, he's going to get caught up real quick. And that's going to show again, as he said, the discipline of the fighters that are truly top class is going to show up a lot more than, you know, the ones that aren't. Because if you're really disciplined, you're going to be ready. This is just take a little break type of thing. The ones that might be at the top or hold a belt but are undisciplined, they're gonna pay for it real quick, and it's gonna show, as he said, a lot real fast.
Yeah. Hey, and you want to ask you something a little different, man. I want to have some fun, man. Listen, you've been around a lot of fighters, man. Who are some of the craziest fighters you've been around? I'm talking about craziest that are funniest. I'll give you an example. I mean, look at Regis Riguru Prograis. I mean, that man is a nut. I mean, he's jumping out of parachutes. He's swimming with sharks, wrestling alligators, going deep sea fishing with a harpoon, going down like with cardboard down his staircase in like a little box, a sled. I mean, the man is just crazy. He posts his stuff. Nice guy, cool as heck. What are some of the craziest guys that you've been around that are in the boxing business that are fighters?
Man, I have to say, one of the one of the craziest prospects I've been around that I met in Vegas, and you know we're super cool. You know, we hanged out that whole day. Was Rolando Romero of Rollies.
Rolly.
Dude, that's crazy.
He's a character, man. Like I mean, a lot of people say he's annoying, but the kid's funny. He really believes in himself. He has charisma. He has character, and I don't know. I just found him. He was crazy. I mean, I'm not gonna say the things he showed me on air, but that guy's crazy. He's just a loose cannon. I like to call him. He's a loose cannon. He's crazy. He's funny guy though. Very dedicated in the sport. Wants to prove himself as well. But I would say he has to be one of the craziest guys. Even when I hopped in the car with him, he drives crazy. He acts crazy. He eats crazy. He eats a lot as well. I couldn't believe how many tacos he ate when we went to Tacos de Gordo out there in Vegas. So he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. We became close out there. Along with Teofimo, we were spending the whole day out there. I went to go visit those guys. So, yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Probably one of the craziest that I've met so far.
It's funny you say that, honestly. On the rematch with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I ran into him. And I said, hey, I like that stare down you had with Andy a while back. And he just looked at me and he goes, that's my homeboy. And I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't about to start anything. I just said, I like that stare down. It was cool. And he just looked at me with this cold look, said, that's my homeboy. Like, don't go there. But he was cool. He was walking around with what's that cat's name? The American Carnelo. Because American Carnelo was trying he was trying to get some free tickets, or he was trying to tell everybody that Oscar's chasing him, or one of the above. I don't know. But no, Rolly was there. He was lounging, and he was at the media day because he was on the card, of course. And I would agree. I've seen some of his postings, and he lives life to the edge.
Yeah, you got that video with Tio in the car with the girls. That one's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they got a lot of videos, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So when does Andy Vences let loose? What's something that he does other than boxing, other than dancing on the dance floor or listening to some mariachis, which we all do? What do you like to do that just brings you a laugh and just says, you know what, I love life?
I don't know, man. I would say at home it's just, I got a crazy side of me, but I also have a calm side of me. And man, I would just say, just being with my wife at home. I love being home on my downtime, but then when I'm outside, I love being around my dad and my friends. They get me going. Some of my close friends that I call family. And yeah, man, just being around my dad. My dad's a character too, man. My dad always brings a laugh every time I see him. He's just a funny dad, man. Blessed to have him, and yeah, man, I just love company. I love company with my loved ones. That's what it is. That's what brings out the Andy, is being around my loved ones.
Let me ask you this, Mike, and it's something that you wanted to know too. So you're gonna get your question answered here. You got Andy Vences, now the husband, now the fighter, the worker. Tell us about Altibaron. That's a whole different character. When does he come to life, and is he fun to be around with? What's he all about? You copy that, Andy?
Oh, I thought you were talking to Mike.
Oh, no.
That's your name.
Asked that too, so I figured I'd go there and ask that question. My bad.
Well,
Let me
no,
rephrase that
that's
question.
good. That's a good
Let me
question.
ask that question again for those that are just viewed us. You got Andy Vences, the husband, the worker, the co-worker, who has his private side. Tell us about tThe. When does he come to existence? What is he like? What does he dislike? And how do you turn him off?
Okay. Oh man, I turn him off by getting out of the gym for sure. I gotta turn him. I turn him off. But the switch goes on. I don't want to sound. I don't want to sound cold-blooded. I don't want to sound ruthless, like selfish, mean. But there's two different Andys. There's Andy outside of the gym, regular guy. I'm a worker, a husband. I have a life outside of boxing. But in boxing, in sparring, and training, it's just a whole different Andy. Even right now, it's like with all this going on, you're gonna close all the gyms. You're gonna close all the boxing gyms. But that's not gonna stop me. There's no one in this world that's gonna tell me to stop working out, or hey, you can't go outside, or hey, you can't do this, or you can't do that. I have a mentality that when I first went professional, I had a mentality that I was either gonna be all in or I wasn't gonna waste my time. So whenever it comes to anything related to boxing, even to staying active, staying motivated, staying dedicated, I just got to do whatever I got to do. And in those fights, it's just, it's either me or him. And I mean, blessings to everyone that's passed away and everyone that, the things that have happened in boxing. But we enter with that mentality. It's either be killed or be killed, and I've said it before. I don't have no pity for no one, and I don't hold back at anyone. When I have to do my job, I have to do my job, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get my family ahead, and this is what we sign up for. Everybody has to know when you sign up for boxing what you're signing for, and in the ring, I'm willing to risk it all. I'm a husband, but I have no kids, so.
Oh, well, you got those dogs though. I like those. I like to call those my babies too. I have some animals too.
There you go. Those are my kids. Yeah.
There you go, Mike. What stands out with you is once you see Andy, and how, when either he's at the weigh-in or he's just enjoying everyday life. What would you say his hashtag is? I mean, what is he when you see something about him? What stands out to you?
It depends on when you see him. If it's at the weigh-in, stay the hell out the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembers that. I want to say it was the one in Carson. I seen him after he weighed in, and I was like, Andy, what's up, man? And he was like, oh, hey, and he put his hand out to give me a fist bump, but he threw a left jab, busted my knuckle for a little bit. I was like, damn, bro. I was like, oh, and then after he was like, hey, man, sorry about that yesterday. It was funny because I was like, damn, it's how he said inside the ring, and when he's going to a fight, he's full mode, and as soon as it's over, it's like, hey, man, how's it going? It was different, but yeah, if it's weigh-in or getting prepared for the fight, stay the hell out the way. After that, it's probably one of the nicest, realest people you'll meet, and that's the truth. It was, when I've talked to him, when it hasn't been about a fight, we've talked about family, things that we've had in common, things that we've gone through, and when it's about boxing, it's he's ready to go out there and put somebody out as quickly as possible and as much as he can.
Hey, I agree with you, because I've seen some different Andys. I've been with him at a professional level. I've been with him when he's just getting to a fight, or I've been with him when he's wired up, and you kind of know, you can kind of read his vibe and when not to get next to him, when to say hello. Yep. It's all about timing. Especially me, man. I'll meet a lot of fighters, and I don't always carry a microphone in my hand, man. I don't always carry a camera with me, even though there's somebody by me. Sometimes I just want to say hello. Hey, how's everything going? I'm not the guy who will post a quote that doesn't need to be posted. If a fighter comes to me or someone says, hey, please don't post that or please don't air that, I'm in this business for the longevity, not to try to get a BS soundbite in air. Yeah. So being that said, yeah, I've seen different parts and different aspects of Andy. One, honestly, that stands out is I remember after a fight one time, and he went 12 rounds. It was at Tachi Palace, and he just wanted to rest. And I'd already talked to his dad. I said, hey, when he's done, can I get an interview with him? And I remember his dad said, hey, let's get that interview. And then he goes, hold on, Pops. Let me just rest. Let me breathe a little bit. Because he just wanted to breathe. He just wanted to unwind. He still had his robe on. He hadn't even looked at his check yet. I think he just barely got checked out by the doctor. And I remember that. I'm going to kind of stand back a little bit, The man still had gloves on, so he came and let them hands go.
Yeah.
You remember he was at Lemoore. You were the main event. And your Pops was he was saying, hey, Mio, when you're done, this guy's ready to interview you, but you just needed some time for yourself. You just wanted to breathe a little bit. You go, hold on, Pops.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just got out of battle, so it was like I was trying to wind down. My head is just, I'm still in that mode. So much adrenaline, just trying to just come down off of it. So no, I remember. But hey, like I tell everybody, everyone that sees me at the fire, they all try to rush me. They all try to talk to me. It's kind of hard dealing with you guys as media and then having to deal with the fans too, because it's like we're not trying to be disrespectful to the fans, but at the same time, the media. But some of the media that I know they're going to hit me up regardless. So I'll try to give the attention to people or fans that don't even have a chance to see me, and then come back to the media because I actually personally know them. But yeah, it gets difficult. But I mean, ask anyone, everybody that messages me on IG, even from young fighters, man. They ask for advice. I take time out of my day when I'm at work, and I respond to these fighters when they ask, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. How much should I run? What can I do? Hey, do you think I'm starting boxing? I'm 19 years old. Do you think it's too late? I always respond with a positive answer and a realistic answer, and I take time to respond to these guys. A lot of fighters around the country. There's people that message me from England that they want to come over here. So I take my time to respond to fighters because I know how important boxing is to some people, just like myself. And they appreciate it. They always respond back and said, man, I never thought you'd respond to me. I'm going to take all your advice. I really appreciate it. So it's cool being a positive influence for all these fighters that do look up to me. I know I'm not big time yet. I know I haven't made it to the top yet to be a world champion. But the fact that many fighters look up to me, it means a lot. It shows that people are watching what I'm doing, and they see it as in a positive way, and it keeps them motivated. Some of these messages I get, they tell me if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't continue to push because I've seen everything you've gone through, and you keep going.
No, very, very well said. And Andy, I'm gonna ask a tough question, but a fair question. Sometimes you have these fighters, and they go back and forth, and I like to call them the Twitter wars. They go back and forth, And you've had your share, without going into detail. How much is it?
Right.
Is it 100? And how much is it where a fighter just plays to the crowd, or where he just has fun with that fighter?
Oh, well, you can kind of see who's really just playing for words to what people want to hear and actually taking action, I feel like all the discussions and Twitter wars and everything, I've never got that fight. So it's like all that talk was talked and the fight never happened. So, I mean, I don't know. I just feel a lot of it's politics, and I feel in a way, I've learned to settle down a little bit, not pick on fighters because some of these guys are a little sensitive. So what it's caused is, in a way, sometimes when I've done that, it has caused a bad relationship to erupt with other important people. So I've learned to kind of scale it down, kick back, and just, if it's going to be, it's going to be, and just let it come. Once that fight gets signed or whatever, then I'll go off, But until then, I just gotta just keep it quiet and play the game,
Very, very well said. I'll touch on it one more, and then we'll move on. How hard is it to walk away or not respond when someone says something negative, as if to say, bro, I'm not even going to respond to this because this is just you're not even in my league, or I'm not even going to go there. How tough is it for you? Because you're a very proud person, that I know, with a lot of pride, and like a shark, man. You want to strike back.
For me, it's very hard. It's something I've had to deal with. One of my closest friends always gives me advice saying, hey, you can't do that, because there's sometimes, a lot of the times where I do comment back, where I do say something. I feel I'm a very self-defensive fighter because I am, prideful of my work and who I am. but at the same time, I'm starting to learn I need to ignore. You know, not every negative answer needs a response, because there's nothing positive that's gonna come out of that. A negative and a negative doesn't equal a positive. You know, so I'm learning how to just sometimes just not respond, or I'll make a joke of it. I'll respond, but I'll say something funny instead of, like, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah, and on that one, as you're saying, some of the time some of these guys are just looking to get a reaction, or just they're bored and they're just trying to see what's up, and it's not really that they're trying to fight. Especially at this point in time right now, a lot of these guys are just saying stuff because they know nothing's going to happen at this moment. So, I mean, like the people that are going back and forth, like Haney and Garcia going back, Lomachenko and Teofimo going back, Andy Reese and Dylan White. They're funny, but I mean, we know maybe a couple months down the line they might fight, but right now nothing's going to happen with it. So it's just something to laugh at and go with. But I've seen the ones where someone has told you something, and you know what? Honestly, a lot of times you don't say nothing really negative. It's more of like, Andy's more like, okay, well, come try it or something, and then the person's like, oh, see, look at how mad he is. It's like, he's not saying nothing wrong. He's saying, if you believe that, well, come find out. Like, and that's a natural reaction. If you think I'm weak, come see me. That's something that's a normal reaction.
Yeah.
And I've seen people like, oh, see, he's upset or he's mad. He's like, wow, you're trying to test his manhood. Well, then come find out if he's really like that. And those ones are funny because I've seen the guys tell you something, or they'll delete their comment or delete the post real quick, and I'm just like, man, these guys are ridiculous. So it's especially right now, it's more of they're gonna say something because they know nothing's gonna happen with it. Once the game comes back, we'll see who's really gonna keep talking. It's gonna be funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, and that's what it is mainly. I just kind of respond just to, like some people say, hey, man, you can't fight, bro. You lost that fight. Or they always say, like, I lose a fight. And I'm like, well, like, I don't know. It's boxing. I feel my biggest downfall, though. I'll be honest with you. My biggest downfall as a fighter is that I'm Mexican and I fight the way I fight. Because that's not the way a traditional and a real Mexican fighter fights. They go to war, they go toe to toe. But hey, I'm in here for the career. I'm here for the long career. Like, I fight with my brains. I don't fight, with my skull trying to get damaged. Not that I'm scared to get damaged. I'm not afraid. Like I tell people, I'm not scared. It's just I've adapted a style over the years where it's efficient for me.
Yeah, and on that note, you have more of the new school of Mexican fighters. Honestly, if you look at a lot of the new fighters, they're not blood and guts going to go out there and try to, oh, well, I'm going to let you hit me 6 times and I'm going to hit you 1 time, but see if I knock you out. A lot of the fighters nowadays that are Mexican aren't like that. And it's the same way I've told many people for years and years, if my kid ever becomes a fighter and they ask me whose style and whose career would I want them to emulate, I always tell them I would want Floyd Mayweather. Person took the least amount of hits and has made the most money. So you could call him weak or whatever, or he's scared, but he's sitting there with money and his health intact. And so many of these fighters come out broke or hurt in the long run. So a lot of the fighters now, look at Marquez. Marquez used to be a real blood and guts fighter, and then towards the end of his career, he relied a lot on his counterpunching and his boxing ability, and he was able to fight into his 40s and got his biggest wins at the end of his career. So. Well, Marco Antonio Barrera was like that as well. That's how you prolong a career.
Right. No, it's pretty badass. Yeah, I love Juan Manuel Marquez. Towards the end of his career, he was strictly one of the best counterpunchers in boxing, and he's amazing. Unbelievable,
No, his boxing IQ was just through the roof, and you could put him in the same category with James Toney. He doesn't get a lot of credit for his defensive skills and his boxing IQ, and of course, you got Bernard Hopkins, and there's a lot of intelligent fighters out there. You got some fighters that are just witty, strong, and they're the whole picture. And when I say that, we can say that, Andy, because somewhere down the line they got their opportunity. They have their chance to show their skill set. You're young. You're right in the middle of this. You're on the verge of getting that phone call. Your time's going to come, man. And when it does, I believe you're going to use all this experience of that loss, of not getting that decision, and it's going to be your time, no matter who it is.
Yep. I mean, patience is everything. So I guess patience and time is everything now. So
Yep.
I guess the rest is up in God's hands. All I can do is use the abilities He's given me and just work hard. You know, work hard, have high faith, persistence, desire, and all that.
Exactly. You know, a lot of these networks, they've been going crazy. They've been playing a lot of reruns on these fights and a lot of these classic fights. What has been your favorite lately, even before this virus hit, that you would always go and you could just put on at any time and enjoy it? What's been one of your favorites?
Probably Oscar De La Hoya, Fernando Vargas.
That's a good one. Leading up to it, the whole press conference.
Yeah, that's like a classic fight. Or Fernando Vargas versus Trinidad.
Yeah.
That one's crazy too.
Yeah, the way weather that storm early in the fight.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Just you know, seeing the way they came in, the way their mind was. It's just pretty cool. But boxing's changed, like we talked about. Boxing's changed a lot. You know, it is what it is. You know.
No, it is, and it's adapting, and it's the fight outside of the ring. Mike, what's been your favorite? Because I know you've been watching classic fights, and what do you always go to watch a great fight?
The one that I always go to, and this one is just more of because I was still a kid when this fight happened, and I didn't like the fighter that lost. There was Marco Antonio Barrera against Naseem Hamed. That's one of the most classic. That's one of the most classic fights to me of all time because it was. I always felt Hamed was extremely overrated. He had power, but that's really all he had. And Barrera came in there and put on a clinic, took him to school, and it exposed him to the point where Hamed said, "You know what? I'm done with boxing," because that was it. That was the only fight he lost. He didn't come back, and he knew that was it. And for me, it was like all the stuff that he had pulled, especially taking an hour to come out and his long entrances to get schooled like that that's always been my favorite fight. And actually, today is the anniversary of that fight, so I've already watched it once today. So yeah, it's one of my all-time classic fights. Yeah, I get a lot of heat from people from England for saying that Hamed's overrated, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, you know which fight we forget about too? I got to rewatch that fight. Is Morales Pacquiao, the first one. Remember?
Oh my God, I love that fight. Morales switching to left hand. Morales switching to southpaw in the 12th round is the funniest thing.
Yeah. Right when he had the fight was so close and he didn't give a fuck off.
Yeah, his trainer told him his trainer said don't do nothing stupid, and he comes out southpaw. Yeah, I love the post-fight interview with Larry Mercury where he goes, "What made you do that?" And Morales, instead of giving a real answer, he goes, "Did you like it?" He's like, "Oh, I loved it." He goes, "Well, thank you then." It was like, yeah, he did it for you. That's one of my favorite fights, especially at the point of Pacquiao's career that was when he was shooting up and Morales just stopped him.
Right.
That fight made Pacquiao who he came to be because he learned right then and there he wasn't going to run through everybody.
Right.
Hey, let me take you back on both fights. Well, first, let's talk about the Naseem Hamed and Marco Antonio Barrera fight. For me, guys, honestly, it was so tough for me, and you're going to think that I'm crazy, to continue to pull for Naseem Hamed until he got that Barrera fight because I wanted him undefeated. I wanted Barrera to give him that first loss. And you got to remember, when that fight was starting to hype up, Marco Antonio Barrera, he got upset when he got knocked out by Poison. Junior Jones that second round, caught that right hand. They had the rematch, and Marco Antonio Barrera, to this day, I think he was tentative that fight. He got outboxed by Jones in the rematch. So a lot of times, people didn't think that fight was going to materialize. And when he got that fight against Naseem Hamed, he was a big underdog, and I couldn't wait. Hamed was undefeated. I would always go for him. He was fighting. I would say, okay, Hamed, just win. I really didn't care too much for him, but I wanted him undefeated. So when he fought on Marco Antonio Barrera, he would give him that first loss, and it panned out perfectly. That's probably one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I also want to talk to you about Manny Pacquiao and Eric Morales. I was actually there, and at the weigh-in, at the weigh-in, Morales was just a tad overweight. And I remember some of the Filipinos, they were yelling, too many tortillas, too many tortillas. And then another Mexicano said, no. His balls are too heavy. But they weren't saying that to be racist because when Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. came in, everybody rushed. Everybody rushed to try to hear him out. to touch him, to be around. They were just having fun because you have two different cultures, and it was a great fight. Eric Morales won that fight. And you're exactly right, Mike. That's when Manny Pacquiao was getting ready to just run away with boxing. And Eric Morales let him know, hey, not just yet. And he had some bags in his tricks. And, of course, they've had those wars together.
Yeah, and then especially that Barrera and Hamed one, it's like Emmanuel Stewart said after it, we picked the wrong Mexican. But I've always said that whatever one of the three that he would have picked, it would have been even worse. If he would have fought Morales probably knocks him out. If he would have fought Marquez probably counters him to death and puts him to sleep too. He got lucky that Barrera didn't have that level of punching power, but I mean it turned out worse because he just took a beating for 12 rounds. So I mean it was Hamed had taken in his own juice pretty much, thought he was top of the world, and then he got brought down in the hardest possible way. And to a lot of people, that's hey, you got to get humbled sometimes, and that's what happened there.
And he said it best, man. He was entertainment. It was all about the powers of boxing. I mean, he filled up seats. It was just a matter till he got exposed, and he was entertainment. I mean, and everybody in England, he brought that power. He was able to do things that a lot of fighters couldn't do, and that was counter with power.
Yeah.
Andy, early in your career, I mean, you had a knockout streak. I mean, you have these chains of knockouts coming up. Was it have anything to do with the maturity, a style that you just adapted to and said, I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this counter punching style? Anything to do with trainers? Anything to do with just your mindset? How did that new style of a counter puncher come to life, so to speak? Because I watched you early, and man, you were great guys out of there.
No, yeah. So I mean, a lot of people remember me, especially back then when I was 7-0, got a knockout, 8-0, got a knockout, 9-0, 10-0, 11-0. I had like 8 straight, maybe 9 straight knockouts. But it wasn't the style or any. I wouldn't say it was anything like that. I would say what people don't realize, like, because they go, and I love the criticism, realistic criticism. I love it because they go like, well, Andy hasn't knocked out anybody since hella long. True, very true. But in a way, you got to realize the level of opposition that I've faced is very different from other fighters. Yeah. Like I don't get put in there with guys that I could walk through or guys that I could walk in the park. Up until I was, let's say, 14-0 when I fought Manuel Ray Rojas. Remember when I fought him at the Save Mart? Or was it Save Mart, right?
I want to say Save Mart or Sound Arena. Yeah, it was Save Mart.
Yeah.
It was Save Mart where I knocked him out. That was supposed to be a jump for me where I was supposed to get some rounds. And then it was the fight after that I fought a guy named Yarly Suarez, a guy who fought at 140. They brought him down to 130. I couldn't take him out of there. And then they stepped me up with Moises Delgadillo out there in the Tachi Palace outside.
Yeah.
Fought for a former world title. He actually just fought his last fight with Jason Sosa, put him on his ass. He wasn't able to do that with me. Then after that fight, I got the Casey Ramos fight, got that WBC title. And then I fought Angel Hernandez, a guy that's never been stopped. And then it's like, I've reached a level now where, hey, not every fight's going to be a knockout. I mean, that's what we all train for. We all train for a knockout. We all train for that. But you can't go in the fight looking for that. And that's what I tell everyone. Like, all my knockouts that I had, it's not that I was looking for it or that I went out there and knocked the dude out. I just followed my plan and it happened. But the level of opposition that I'm at now is different. Once you reach 10, 12 rounds, it's a total different opposition. It's more of what your plan is than about knocking people out, And even the last guy that I fought in Reno, Nevada, that guy that was 25 wins, 2 losses, Mark Bernaldez, I believe that was his record. He was at one point, I believe, 19-0, 12 knockouts. You can look it up on the internet. He was supposed to fight Eric De Leon way back, like three years ago. They were supposed to fight each other, and that never happened. And again, this was a guy who's never been stopped. But I made him, unanimous decision win. I made him look easy. He didn't touch me. But it's like, hey, I tried. It just didn't happen. I mean, I'm always disappointed with myself if I don't get the stoppage or the knockout. But it's like I'm reaching a level where it's not gonna happen all the time. But hey, I really do train for it, and I always, we want to knock out every fight, but it's not gonna happen all the time. But it's always in my mind. That's what keeps me training harder and harder. Is that my results, I want them better and better, and that's one thing that pushes me, is that I haven't had a knockout in a while, so that keeps me really fueled and driven to train hard, because just a goal that I have.
Andy, you know what? I know that you're a hardworking person. You continue to work full time during all this crisis and stuff.
Right.
And in 60 seconds, tell us your whole take on the virus, how you feel about it, and the message you want to give the world.
Well, first, I do feel very sad for anyone or anybody that's lost a close relative, but this is really, this I just feel is a wake up call for everyone to really realize who's in their family household, and this is the time to reconnect, spend time with your loved ones, and to really remember that it's the memories that you create in life that matter. It's not about money, it's not about materialistic things, it's not about what you can post on Instagram, what you drive. None of that matters now. What matters now is how happy you are within yourself, and just a message to the world and anybody hearing, just be happy and be appreciative with your life. Remember, we're blessed to see each and every day, because there's some people who don't wake up to that next day. And a lot of us take our health for granted, like I said earlier. Right now is the time to just change, create healthy habits, and just grow, Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Rich, you're not perfect. We all have flaws. I understand that. But this is a time really where we just need to continue doing what makes us happy, even in times like this. This is not the time to complain about that you lost your job, to be negative that you can't go nowhere. You got to look at the positive in each day right now. This is a time where the ones that do have jobs, I actually feel very blessed. And I do put it out there, because a lot of people in my boxing career always told me, you need to quit your job, you're not going to make it, you're not going to be successful while working. But I know I've heard of stories, and I've seen many world champions who have a full-time job and they become world champions. So I know it's not impossible. But I'm also glad that I never quit my job, because in times like this, it really reflects back to where I'm actually proud in making the decision at that moment where I had to think to myself, should I quit my job or should I dedicate full-time to boxing? And I feel as a fighter, you should quit your job when you've reached the pinnacle of your career, where you've already touched maybe $1 million. Then you could quit your job.
Absolutely.
But until then, you have to have something solidly in life where you're going to be able to provide, And now I'm looking at it, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to have kept my jobs, because this is what's helping and providing for the family, because a lot of people got laid off, a lot of people lost jobs, and it's just like, don't be negative about it, but remember there's always alternatives as well. There's things to do for side hustles, There's always an alternative. So, just my message to the world, just be appreciative for each and every day, and realize that what you have is worth more than what you work for and what you're doing. What you have at this moment in your life, people wish they had. Rich, you for instance, you probably wish you had what someone else has, and someone else wishes they had what you had. And these people, and then, let's just say Mike wishes he had what you guys have both. And it's kind of like, just always appreciate what you have. We always want more, but we're never happy with what we have ourselves. So I'm just very happy and blessed to be married to somebody that I love, to be able to spend these days with her, to be able to have a job, be consistent, work out. I'm glad I have a bag, just like the simplest things I'm so happy for. I'm glad I have my dad. I'm glad I have my immediate family. I'm blessed that we haven't lost anybody close to us. But hey, prayers to everybody out there who has lost someone. My respects. Rest in peace. And like I said, everybody needs to be cautious, prepared, and aware, but not scared. Just be safe, you know?
Very well said, Andy. And on that note, I'm going to leave it right there. I appreciate the time you're taking to give us the fighter's voice and everybody else around the world that they get to hear what Andy Vences is all about, especially during these times. I also want to thank you, Mike, because I know I dipped into your workout session behind the curtain, man, and it's always a pleasure having you on the air.
Me too. I had to cut mine short.
Well, you know what? I'll let you get back to that, man, and tell your dude who's making that product, man, on a funny note, he should invent one and call it round 2. And when they ask round 2, it's that extra round in the bedroom, baby. He can come over and help us.
Hey, hold on. One quick one for Andy, since we're talking about fighters. To get you quickly to that title shot, I would love to see you and Cancio, man.
Oh, they're not going to give me that. I'd be so down. I'll take that one tomorrow.
That's the perfect fight right there, because he needs one. He needs to show that he still got it. And, that would be perfect. As soon as they signed him, that was my first thought. I was actually gonna text you that once they signed him. I was like, "Oh, get him!" I was like, "Get him in the ring."
Yeah, so I seen that. So what's funny about that is going into my 20th fight, the fight right before De Leon, and I wish I had pictures. I wish I would have took pictures. I had a signed contract to fight Andrew Cancio. This was before he became a world champion. We were set to fight at the Save Mart Center. And he pulled out 2 weeks before the fight, saying he had a hernia. But it's just, again, what kind of shocks me is they look how things play out. Because of the fact he pulled out of that fight with me, I never got a chance to fight him, and he ended up becoming a world champion. Like, look how destiny happened for him. Like, it wasn't meant to be to fight me, but he became a world champion. Like, yeah, he lost his title, but he went on to bigger and better things for walking away from that fight with me. Whether it was true or not that he had a hernia, it's just, you know, everyone's time comes. And, you know, yeah, I did see he got signed to Top Rank. That was one fight I asked for right away. I was like, hey, like, he's with Top Rank now. Like, let's get that fight. But that's the thing. It's all about politics. So, I mean, from what I heard, they don't want to give me that fight. They don't want me to fight him. So it's whatever.
Well,
I
don't think he would take it either.
Well, your time's going to come, and I tell you what, we'll be there for full coverage. You mark my word, Andy. Whenever they name that fight and it does happen, we'll be there to support you as always. And I appreciate you coming on the Fighter's Voice. You always got a seat here with us, man. And as always, it's a wrap here. Thank you, Andy Altibodo and Vences. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.